Good morning. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living in Reading, and we're going to open up with our beautiful choir.
Thank you, Charlie. Big words.
Well, who needs to go to Broadway? We have our own Broadway here. That's beautiful. Thank you. So I want to invite the children up, and while we're doing that, just turn and wave to the camera. We know we get lots of viewers from around, could be the world, who knows? So just wave and show your beautiful faces. Thank you. So if you're watching and you've been reluctant to bring your children in, now's the time. You can start coming next Sunday and bring your children in, and we have a wonderful Sunday program for our children. So I want to say that I respect everyone following the mask policy that we have. I know our board's meeting this week, and we can anticipate a change starting next week. And so stay tuned. If you get the weekly update from Sue that goes out each week, you'll see what that is. But I just did want to say I respect everyone following it. So I'd like to thank everybody in service today. We got Lindy in the sound booth. We have Doug and Ronnie as ushers. We have our wonderful choir who came early to get ready. And so we just honor that. Anybody new today, if you want to raise your hand, you can get an information packet. And if not, you can pick one up on the way out. So we have a wonderful packet for you. So I'd like to go into a few announcements. And to start, I'm going to have Dr. Mary come up, and she's got a special announcement.
Good morning. You know, in 2009, I received a letter from a gentleman in prison for life for murder. He read an article in Creative Thought magazine that I had written. Surprised they had that magazine in prison. Anyway, he said, there's something about this thing called science of mind that I think might help me adjust to life in prison, because he was only 37 years old. We've still corresponded. We are still corresponding today. But he's so intellectual. He studied all the world's religions. He's African American. He studied all the African spiritual beliefs. And he's the most intelligent person I've ever met. When you read the book, I mean, it just blows your mind how brilliant this man is. And yet he says, science of mind saved his life. Oh, I don't know why I'm going to cry. I never cry about this. Anyway, it's published now. It's on Amazon. I'll have a book signing here. I've read it twice since I got the book last week. My husband's read it. In your program is a little flyer, and it gives some of they call it praise for the book. And just so you know, two of these people here, one is a prior president of Centers for Spiritual Living, John Waterhouse, and the other is the current president of Centers for Spiritual Living, Edward Villon in Santa Rosa. It's got a lot of praise, but it's changing lives of people that are reading it. So I encourage you, if you know anyone who's got a teenager going off track, or an adult kind of going off track that might end up in prison, please get that book for them. It's changing his life. He now is a teacher in prison, and he teaches everybody about this thing called science of mind. So it's pretty profound. Anyway, thank you so much, and even my husband likes it.
So we have a few short, brief announcements. As you notice, there's the art sale out in the foyer. So that ends today. So there's beautiful art left, and that's been donated to the center. And we also have original art pieces from Charles Patrick Smith that you can browse and also purchase. So we'd like you to take a look at that. The men's group with Roy Wolfstad is March 28th, tomorrow night from 7 to 9 p.m. You can see Roy for that. Inviting the Sacred and Interfaith special event Friday, April 1st here in the sanctuary. So we're going to have an evening of ritual and spiritual practice, rich in cultural diversity, dedicated to the unique expressions of spirit. Then we have a grief recovery and action group for moving beyond loss, facilitated by our own Shirley Wade, practitioner here, and she's right in front if you have any questions. So that'll be Tuesdays starting April 5th from 3 to 4:30 p.m. And then we have a caregiver support group with Reverend Dr. Mary on the second Thursdays starting April 14th, 10 to noon. And then we have a Paint and Pour Your Art out for Mother's Day. It's a workshop with Ava. And so that's going to be Saturday, April 16th, 11 to 1. And so it's limited to 10 people, so you want to check in with the board desk on that. And also, if you want any more details on any of these announcements, we do have a program that we gave you, so a lot of it's there. It's also on our website. And then just a reminder to you, if you're not on the email list, there's weekly updates. And so we mention a lot of these things as well. And so last but not least, I'm going to have Reverend Sue come up and talk about a workshop that she's putting on, Reconnection, a Day for Women. You didn't know you were coming up.
I wasn't ready. Yes, this mid-year I always like to do, this is for the Sacred Sisters, the women here at the center. You can bring a friend, but it's a day for women, and we meet, it's called Reconnection since we've been coming out of this pandemic experience, and we are going to join together and do some wonderful practices of connection and transformation and have conversations of the heart, as we always do. But that is, if you want to mark your calendar, April 23rd. It's the weekend after Easter, and it starts at 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock, and there's a lovely lunch involved with that. That's all.
So I'm going to have Craig come up and do our reading today, followed by the invitation of the bell. And so during the invitation of the bell, if you just allow that sound to go down deep into your soul, we'll have a moment of silence afterwards, followed by a prayer. And then we've got some special music prior to Sue's talk today. Craig?
These are the words of Matthew Fox that starts this out, and it says, "True reverence is more about play than it is about pious noddings of the head. For play is our response to feeling that we are part of a living and dynamic whole. We are all players in the universe, actors and actresses on a cosmic stage in a 20-billion-year-old awesome unfolding display of creation and generativity. And each of us displays a different aspect of the divine face, divine humor, divine hands, by the way we choose to live out our spirituality and our lives. And isn't it beautiful to catch someone dozing, not quite all the way, but hovering in the great in-between? The head nods, the neck reasserts itself momentarily, stiffens, and then the head nods down victoriously. I love it when consciousness doesn't stand a chance. And meanwhile, the rest of us seated round the room observe the napper's happy departure from us, and we smile enduringly. We're secretly glad that somebody just left the room without having to excuse themselves. We've just been taught the comfortable lesson of true friendship. You don't have to be sentient in order to be loved. True caring, as we've always known, is watching someone nod off, take a nap.
Please join with me in knowing that on this wonderful and special day, where we acknowledge the beauty outside, the smell of rain on its way, the essence of spring, that I allow this beauty to run deep into my soul as the sound of the bell also penetrated deep into my soul. And so I know and acknowledge that there is just one love, one God, one Spirit, everywhere present, flowing through each and every one of us, expressing itself in the most unique and beautiful way. And so I claim this for myself and for everyone here. And I allow myself to listen to the nudge and the urge that's deep within to grow and to expand and to be the best that I can be, to be the highest. And so today I open myself up and I listen to the words of Reverend Sue, her inspired message, and I take to heart what's there for me. And so today I say thank you and claim that God is at work, working through me, as I am also the ambassador of peace and truth. Peace for the world. So from a deep place in my heart, I say thank you for this community. Thank you for this time together. Thank you for the music. Thank you for all those in service. And thank you for all that showed up today and all who are listening. And so I release these words and this prayer into law, knowing full well it is so. And together we say, and so it is. So we have some special music to introduce the talk.
So the talk today is happy together. Let's be happy together.
Imagine me and you, I do. Oh, I think about you day and night. It's only right to think about the girl you love and hold her tight. So happy together. If I should call you up, invest a dime, and you say you belong to me and ease my mind, imagine how the world would be so very fine, so happy together. Well, I can see me loving nobody but you for all my life. But when you're with me, baby, the skies will be blue for all my life. Me and you and me, no matter how they toss the dice, it had to be. The only one for me is you, and you for me, so happy together. Well, I can see me loving nobody but you for all my life. But when you're with me, baby, the skies will be blue for all my life. Me and you and me, no matter how they toss the dice, it had to be. The only one for me is you, and you for me, so happy together. Ba 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 ba. Me and you and me, no matter how they toss the meant to be. The only one for me is you, and you for me. So happy together, so happy together. How is the weather? So happy together, so happy together, so happy together. Ba 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 ba. Okay.
That was fun. Ba 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 ba. Oh, ba 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 ba. Oh, ba. I will. Yeah. I'll never forget that child that was here. That I think you all might remember that we're here. When I was talking, she just went blah 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 blah. You remember that? Yeah. I was stunned. I was breathtaking. So I love the energy, and Craig, I know you planted a seed for that and watched it grow. So thank you, and thank you for the 360 band being spontaneous and bringing that to us, because that makes you smile, right? It takes you back. We've had such heaviness, so it feels good to have those moments. There was a card that Charlie got recently from a young woman that was leaving the company, and she and he had worked together closely. But I really love the front of this card, so let me share it with you and see if you can relate. I walk around like everything's fine, but deep inside, my sock is falling off. Right? Right? I'm thinking, why is that so deep? I read all kinds of, heavy spiritual readings all through the week, and then that's it. That's so it. And then Lindy and I have been saving this pun for you. Are you ready? Yes. Oh, I hope I can do it, Lindy. Help me. Okay. Did you know that the atheists have a non-profit organization? Why is that, Lindy? I blew it, huh? Because there's no profit. I know, it's so dang corny, but Lindy and I amuse ourselves with these sort of things, and deep inside we feel always like a sock is falling off. It's fun though. But the theme that we're wrapping this month up is so happy together, and the whole month has been about play and joy and rest. And I thought last week Reverend Carolyn from the Unity Center gave us the most brilliant message about this idea of rest. And so we're reminded always of our tendency to push ourselves into busyness. Interestingly enough, as we were doing a visioning this morning, that seemed to be the theme, recognizing our busyness. So there's moments, though, that we can relax deeply. And I know sometimes when I relax sitting down with my phone and looking at Words with Chums, a game with chums, and I'm playing with some very dear friends of mine from all around, and I feel like we're together at the table playing this silly little game, but it's so relaxing. There's something that I can just lose myself. What word can I, really get ahead on and make my little chum sing? And then all of a sudden after that, then you kind of realize, I did that a little too long. And then you start to do warp speed, right? You try to do all your chores to get done with your to-do list, to tackle it, to take it on. And then you think, well, now I need a nap. And I haven't even done my spiritual practice yet because I chose chums first. And so there's this whole idea that then shame starts to come. But why? You were just living a moment of joy, a moment of distraction, of stillness, of sitting with a game with friends from far away. So there's that cycle can start for us, and we are the ones that are in charge of that cycle, and we can stop it because play itself is healing. The divine self is ready for the sacred activity of play, and it helps us stay in balance with life. So it's really a good thing that we take those pauses. In the Science of Mind point of view, in the Declaration of Principles, I want to remind you, Ernest Holmes writes, we believe in the unity of all life, and the highest God and the innermost God is one God. And we believe in the direct revelation of truth through intuitive and spiritual natures, that anyone can become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God. That's a core belief of his, and I resonate with that. So it has become one of those we believes, this connection to the divine within. It's what draws us together, this idea of community. It brings us together with a common intention, with a common purpose. That is why the choir, that is the Heart Sangha choir, Sangha being a community of like value, of a group of people that have fun. I've mentioned this before. Charlie and I are so delighted just to hear them chuckle and laugh. When I would think about singing, I would think it would be so serious. So you want to be, I'd be nervous trying to stay on key. But there's just fun. And I'm sure it's because of the characters that are in the choir. Maybe it's not true for all choirs, but there's several back there that, Morgan, our hat, where are you, Morgan? There you are, yeah. You got your work cut out for you. And one of them sitting right next to you, okay? But there is that element of play. There should be that element of play in seva or selfless service. So happy together is when we can step into that with our open heart. That's the theme of what we're talking about today. But sometimes we know that we lose our way, and it happens, and then we feel alone, isolated, sometimes lost. But someone is always, always ready to offer us an act of kindness. It can be an outstretched hand of support. It can be a smile. It can be a word spoken that suddenly shifts us, that shifts our state of being, if we're listening. Now, Mark Nepo, he's a well-known author and poet, and he contributes to spirituality and health. And I'm going to share something that came from one of his articles, and it's talking about small stories that can happen that can be life-changing. And he summed it up by saying, while the mind makes borders, the heart lives below them. So this is a story that he shared about Pam. She went to Lowe's to buy a sprinkler. Now this could be about any of us. The person waiting on her was an African-American man. He asked her, how is she doing? Now, a yoga student and I just had that conversation, how casually we toss that back and forth to each other, right? How are you today? And we hope they're fine. That's what we're ready to hear. Sometimes they're ready to share exactly how they're doing. And we're a little like, whoa, didn't plan on that. But this is one of those moments. He asked her how she was doing, and she answered him honestly. She told him that she was saddened by what was happening in the world, by all the young black men being shot by police. After a while, she said she was embarrassed by the pain her whiteness has created. Well, stunned, the salesman shared that he was married to a beautiful white woman, and they have a beautiful 5-year-old son. He just kept saying quietly, that is what I'm worried the most about. Pam shared that she had a son, and she felt such sorrow knowing how differently their son's experiences would be. The two gentle souls stood in the aisle in this huge home improvement store, speaking about life the only way they could, through the eyes of their children. After a time, they shook hands. Then they introduced themselves. They repeated their names to each other. As Pam walked away, she turned around. She wanted to say one more thing. She wanted to say something else, though she couldn't find it. So instead, they just smiled at each other and went back into their lives. A powerful moment. Little stories like this, we live and breathe them all the time. Every trip to the store, if you're awake, has these potentialities, these moments where we can look into each other's eyes and we can smile. And we can be near someone suffering and we can offer an outstretched hand to open the door, to carry groceries, to do whatever the heart's quickening in that moment is. And it's still so important to watch when someone hungry, someone homeless holds up a sign. At least look at them. At least turn your eyes and your heart towards them to smile and to bless their journey, instead of acting like suddenly you're looking at something on the radio. There's just a moment. It's just a moment of kindness where they feel seen and they feel cared for by someone's look. Now, Mark Nepo brilliantly sums up these stories, adding, when opened enough, it's hard to tell what you carry and what I put down. When opened enough, it's hard to tell where the burdens begin to lift and whose is it really. Now, we certainly feel that with the Ukraine war right now. We're picking it up. We're picking up all the sad pieces. I appreciate the hair dye, the little flags, the moments. I mean, if you notice, they're making a statement, and it's a brilliant statement of love. And one thing that I have seen time and again on all the news is that love is prevailing. Yes, we're looking through horror, and we're looking at just the most heartbreaking scenes, but we're also looking at love sweep up. And what I love, and the choir would appreciate it, is the choirs coming together and singing their national anthem, right? Yeah. Right? Little children dancing and singing the mermaid song or something, some ice song. So I'm like out of that age range of children, but this idea, whose burden really is it? We're all one here. Let us hold the heaviness that we feel in the world. Let us lighten the load so that we can see things more clearly and we can make a difference. So these acts of simple kindness is what's drawing us together. Now, another contributor to the Spirituality and Health magazine is Sarah Krasnostein, an American-Australian writer, and she wrote a book called The Believer. And she starts off quoting Carl Jung and reminding us, not all problems are solvable. He's stating that they can never be solved, only outgrown. I don't know if you are a Carl Jung groupie or not, but his wisdom has certainly been world-changing. Now think of the moments of times in your life where fear and uncertainty seemed to paralyze you. Fear and pain seemed to immobilize you, and your mind and intellect, it just keeps rehearsing, revising, repeating the story, the suffering, the dark story, as if that's going to help make sense of it all. And this is where Jung says something very interesting. We let the psyche process what it needs to have. Consciousness is forever interfering, helping, correcting, and negating. It would be simple enough if only simplicity were not the most difficult of things. it could be so much more simple if we caught ourselves. I remember, it's so dated, but I remember listening during my panels to be a minister. We had to listen to many talks from each other, and the one said so brilliantly, she said, I just want to push that button and take that tape out. It's such a visual. Now, I know younger people are going, what tape? Is there a USB port or is there something else? Your story makes no sense. But you think about, this idea. Even the word rewind doesn't really mean anything to younger generations. But it does to those of us that have years of stories still impacting our experience. So how, we ask, can not reaching to what we face in our suffering be helpful? And this is where Sarah centered her research, reacting to what we face. I might have said that wrong. What we're facing. We feel that, it's causing me a lot of suffering. And how can not looking into that and busying it not be helpful? So all the diverse stories of suffering, she spent a lot of time looking at research and doing her own. And she put herself into situations that were very challenging and difficult to some of the prisoners that were serving life terms and whatnot. But she summed it up saying, something laid curled inside their words that gestured towards the idea that we are united in the emotions that drive us into the beliefs that divide us. I'm going to repeat that because something, and we can kind of feel it, something lays curled inside our words. And it gestures towards the idea that we are united in the emotions, in the feelings that drive us, but they form beliefs that then separate us. It's real challenging to put down beliefs, to just, not that they're wrong, but to just put them aside. What am I in this now? What's going on now? And I've been sitting with that a lot lately, this idea of vulnerability and trying to stay protected inside our story. And sometimes you can feel the moment you really opened up too much, and people get really relaxed and they say, well, let me give them, she's opened that, let me give her some feedback. I didn't want any feedback right then. No, I opened because I did. In a divine way, I needed to see all sides of a story so that my vulnerability, and this is Brene Brown's words, becomes your courage when I'm willing to lay my heart open, to allow that to be. So what's really happening, being willing to share our stories, that's connection. That helps us realize that we can be so much happier sharing what connects us than what divides us. We cannot, her research showed time and again, we cannot think our pain away. That points to a story outside of ourselves, and then we end up, when we're doing that, blaming and shaming. The story remains constricting our life force, and you feel it. You can feel it if I've said some things right now already that your heart's, oh, I like that. Oh, I don't like that so much. Open, close, expand, contract, expand, contract. It's you. It's you, and it's what you're feeling. So she has, in her writing, she shares her own story. She went to a therapist because she's been doing all this work. She still had her own questions. And so she said, I went to the therapist for this. He spoke the language of family systems and relational trauma. At the first appointment, she did her usual. She takes out her notebook, and she started to explain to him all the things that he needed to fix for her in order to claw her life back, claw her way back into her life. And so he saw something that she was missing. In response, he sat very still and apologized. He apologized for not thinking in as ordered a way as she did. apologized for that. It seemed to him, he explained, that if these problems could be solved by thinking, I would have solved them by now. Perhaps it was time to go someplace below the neck. I remember how he placed one hand on my abdomen so tenderly, as though he needed it too, and just breathe. I had no idea what he was trying to tell me, what problems could possibly be immune to thought. But seeing as I was there anyway, I gave it a little try. I breathed exactly enough to begin to reverse the direction of one speck of frantic discomfort inside of me. It ended up saving me. His seemingly secret knowledge that the homes we make in our heads are often no safer than the ones we make in the world. And the only solution to this is no solution at all, but rather one breath, and then the next one. Simplicity. Back to Carl Jung. The simplicity of that truth. These stories are enlightening, but I want you to return to your stories, to reflect on how being in community, how sitting with another who so gently says to you, take it here, take it here. And you get it, you're listening in that moment. They helped you find your ground. And research continues to impress upon us all these stories that prove that good social relationships are the strongest predictors of our happiness. Happy for No Reason is the book that we kind of we have one or two in the bookstore, but Happy for No Reason by Marcy Shimhoff. That was a book that kind of focused on a lot of these ideas, being happy for no reason. And she said, close, trusting relationships is the one common trait in all the studies. Close, trusting relationships. They point to being happy for no reason. Those that live in community with others, even just associating with 5 close friends, family, just having that shifts you, and you can extract the happiness from others and bring happiness to these relationships. She discovered from the neuroscience research that our brains are actually wired to relate to each other. And I watched this happening when the 360 Band was singing that song. I was watching Claire. I mean, you want to talk about somebody's expression that can just captivate you, pretty soon you're doing it, is watch her smile. She got her mask on. Soon, everybody, soon. She has a captivating smile, but you know what it's like. Those mirror neurons, they make you yawn. If somebody else is yawning, you're like, oh, excuse me. And then you try to pull it back, and then you're making a really weird face. Just go ahead and yawn. It's just your mirror neurons working. It's what they do. And I get such a kick out of my little Corey because I'm watching his little expressions mirror what his mom and dad's expression. He has this thing he does with his eyebrow, and he'll just kind of walk around doing it for a while. Something inside of him is very amusing, but it's his dad's look. And Lindy and I said, that's Danny. And then I'll watch him mirror Lindy's sweet face. And then we're also trying to get him to enunciate certain things. And so when Lindy starts going, they, them, thus, the, I'm back there going, the. I'm not even doing it, but pretty soon I'm with her. I am one with her, with the thus. And I know right now some of you have your tongue on the back of your teeth. What's that feel like? What's that feel like? It's that mirror neuron that is operating through us. And my little grandson Jax, the most sensitive little face. If you say, oh, what you, he'll just, and you're going, okay, change tone change. And then he'll beam with a smile. These little precious children have these ways of reminding us how connected we are. Ernest Holmes says, "The eyes brighten with friendliness and good cheer when animated by the light of love, joy, faith, or noble purpose." So I often hear that people feel safe here coming into the sanctuary. Others, though, feel still they come in and they still feel isolated and alone. And I always feel like I want to fix that, but I never know about it till later, that someone is feeling the disconnect. Because I feel, even if I don't know your name, because I've seen you here, I feel like, girlfriend, hey, boyfriend. You know, it's like we just get this connection. But sometimes if we're framed in our story, our heart is closed, we're not getting it. And then what happens when you join a class, you join a Save a Team, you join more of the community building here? I get it. I belong here. It's a happy place. It's a happy place. So this is the connection, and we're allowing ourselves to deeply watch one another in community. Pretty soon we'll have the social hall open again, and that'll be time to share in dialogue. So know that as we can be infected with emotions and happy thoughts, and so too some of the sad ones that can cause us to feel anxiety and discontent. So looking at the ways that we can be with our neurochemistry, just knowing that it's going to work through us, and we're in relationship with everyone around us. We know that there's been times when we walk into a room and there's Debbie Downer in there. We want to walk out the other way. But then we can go into a room and there can be Dick Sorensens. And we're drawn like bugs to a light. Zap me again, Dick. Oh, do something, Dick. Just move, Dick. Yeah, see? It's what I do. It's what I do, and it makes us happy. So your heart contracting when you feel lonely or isolated, or if you're around toxic people, those Debbie Downers, but it is expanding. It is expanding. So choose when you walk through the doors, I choose to expand today and to connect with someone. And if I hear gossip or complaining, that's not the one I want to connect with. I'm going to find the ones that are speaking truth, and I'm going to find that as I feel that I am avoiding those vampires of Debbie Downers because they zap your energy. We had a whole game of that at a retreat. Some of you remember Shakti Sucker? Oh my gosh. Shakti is energy. At the very beginning of retreat, I know, Lindy, I've got time, and they need to know this or they won't be able to move on this week, okay? There was a game that Dr. James would have us start. One person at the very beginning was the chosen one, the vampire. And nobody else in the whole retreat knew who that was. All he needed to do throughout the retreat was wink at you, and you were dead. Okay? He took your energy. He took your life force just with the wink. You were not to act out your drama of dying right then. You kind of just went, oh, I want you. And then you had to keep quiet. And then when you were around the community again, you had to dramatically die on the scene. Do you guys remember that game? Yeah? Where's Nadine? Do you remember it? No, I don't. Oh, it's so much fun. We should play it here. I had so much fun if I did it at the beginning of the service. There was one of you winking at everybody, and then pretty soon we had a bunch of... Well, then at the end of the game, 2 people had to figure out who that was, and they couldn't communicate. They could just say, I have somebody I think is the one that's it. And somebody else said, me too, and then they would point. And if they pointed to the same person, the person, that was me, the game was over. Way fun, Shakti sucking. So, silly game. But that's what you do in groups. That's, in real life, that happens. You don't want to be the one somebody pointing to, they're a Shakti sucker. Sorry if I just pointed to somebody and they felt the target. Just check in with your heart and your gut and just know these are the expanded places. So there's something I really want to do, And it's going to take you. It's going to take a little bit of play here. That's why Judy said, what are we going to do? And I said, I don't know if I have the courage to do this. But I want us to play a little bit. And how we're going to play is doing the chuga chuga cheer. Are you ready? Linda's going to get the camera because you have to participate. And you have to participate. I don't care how contracted you feel right now. Butterflies, what is she going to have me do? It'll be demonstrated by the choir first. So if they could please stand. Hey there, choir. You got a whole lot of this. Start moving. And you got a whole lot of that. So come on up and do the chuga chuga cheer. To the left, chuga chuga, chuga chuga. To the right, chuga chuga, chuga chuga. And up, chuga chuga, chuga chuga. And down, chuga chuga, chuga chuga. Okay, ready? Hey there, congregation. You got a whole lot of this and a whole lot of that, so stand up here and shake your rear and help us do the chuga chuga cheer. And to the left, chuga chuga, chuga chuga. To the right, chuga chuga, chuga chuga. And up, chuga chuga, chuga chuga. And down, chuga chuga, chuga chuga. There. Thank you. That's the chuga chuga cheer. So I dare you to go into Safeway, to Costco, and someone says, how are you today? You want to do the chuga chuga cheer? Let's shake our rear to the left. Chuga chuga, chuga chuga, to the right. And just see who joins you. Or if they're calling 911. So, in closing, Judy has prepared a lovely piece, but I wanted to try to fit that in whether it fit or not, because it was in my head all night. But one of the greatest teachings I've ever had came from when I was really young, and I pass this on to you. And you can sing it with me. I have something in my pocket. It belongs across my face. I'm going to take it out and put it on. It's a great big brownie smile. Isn't that a great spiritual wisdom? Yeah. Next week we might be able to see our brownie smiles again. So, but let's pull all of this in to your heart as Judy plays these moments. Ernest Holmes reminds us, if we feel, then we are simply onlookers and not participating in the games of life. We need to rediscover the youthful spirit of that childlike joy that gives us energy, happiness, security, and faith as we had as children. In this present moment now, we declare the freedom of the heart. To let go of anticipating, how will I look? Just let yourself be. Open to the wonder, to the joy, to the delight, to the love, to the intention of living a full, rich, spirited life. And allow gratitude to pour out of you. Allow the smiles to enrich another's life as your choice of my act of kindness this day. I offer the smile of my heart unto the world. And as we each one meet the suffering, and sure enough we will, we transform it with open hearts. The inner smile, the greater smile, the full heart full of love and intention. We are the ones the world's been waiting for. We are the ones disciplined in a truth that knows the way, that points the way, that encourages others to feel safe. Peace is, and we are engaged with that on every level. So I give a bounty of thanks, a heart that is full, celebrating each one here today, knowing that you all go back into your individual lives throughout the week, sharing this truth. We're making a difference in the world. We are the light. We are the love. We are the truth. I give thanks for the teaching that holds us to our core. I release this out into the world, knowing that wherever we go, wherever we are the ones. We keep chanting that to ourselves. We are the ones. We are the ones. And together, we are happy. Together, we share the message. I give thanks. I release this word knowing it's all ours to do. Thank you, God. And so it is. The choir, please, while I sort out my things. No comment.
Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens, bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens, brown paper packages tied up with strings. These are a few of my favorite things. Green-colored ponies and crisp apple strudels, doorbells and sleigh bells and schnitzel with noodles, wild geese that fly with the moon on their wings. These are a few of my favorite things. Girls in white dresses with blue satin sashes, snowflakes that stay on my nose and eyelashes, silver white winters that melt into springs. These are a few of my favorite things. When the dog bites, when the bee stings, when I'm feeling sad, I simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so bad. Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens, bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens, brown paper packages tied up with strings. These are a few of my favorite things. Green-colored ponies and crisp apple strudels, doorbells and sleigh bells and schnitzel with noodles, wild geese that fly with the moon on their wings. These are a few of my favorite things. Girls in white dresses with blue satin sashes, snowflakes that stay on my nose and eyelashes, silver white winters that melt into springs. These are a few of my favorite things. When the dog bites, when the bee stings, when I'm feeling sad, I simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so bad.
Can you introduce who your guest is?
So we are very lucky today to have Lisa Ho with us, our violinist. Please give a big round of applause. And also quickly, I'd like to mention we have a new choir member, Jules. This is so lovely. Thank you.
Actually, take a moment, say, I am, your name. No, first, the first one. First girl, just a, I am. Jamie.
I'm Jules. I'm Sue. I'm Kirsten.
I'm Sherry.
I'm Jean.
I'm Joanne.
I am Carrie. I'm Jerry Kay. I'm Mary. I'm Claire.
I'm Bruce.
I'm Nadine.
I'm Michael.
I'm Dick.
I'm Chad.
And you
We're
are.
the Musketeers.
Morgan.
And that is their tip jar. Just saying, no pressure. But that helps us support people like this beautiful woman coming to play with us on Sundays. So thank you, everyone.
The tip jar.
Thank you.
So I'd like to invite the choir, the choir. I'm so caught up with the choir. You know, that was one of my favorite movies, Sound of Music. And
Yes.
all those songs. And I was a nerd kid, always playing the Sound of Music on a tape in the car, or a record in that day. So invite the ushers forward. I'm going to do it just a little bit differently with the offering. No call and respond. In preparation for the offering, just allow my words to sink in. As I prepare to give my offering, my heart is filled with love and appreciation, since what is offered here is for my spiritual well-being. I am filled with gratitude, knowing life stays in balance, for as I give, I receive. And now we can start. That was very moving. Thank you. Giving thanks for the moment. I give thanks for the blessed donations received in the offering this morning and during the week. I know each dollar supports the spiritual family in many ways as we grow together, pray together, and give thanks for all that this center has been blessed with today and always. And we are so blessed, and so it is. So we'll have a closing song, and then we'll come up and wave goodbye. But, you know, we have Christy on the board desk, so if you want to check in for any events that you want to check in with, check out the art sale, and just enjoy the day today. But we move into our final song. Thank you.
sing every song it hears. My heart wants to beat like the wings of the birds that rise from the lake to the trees. My heart wants to sigh like a chime that flies from the church on a breeze, to laugh like a brook when it trips and falls over stones on its way, to sing through the night like a lark who is learning to pray. I go to the hills when my heart is lonely. I know I will hear what I've heard before. My heart will be blessed with the sound of music, and I'll see once
You know, it's no secret how awesome these singers are, this Hartsonger choir, and all of you, that your energy is feeding their energy and it's exploding. Yeah, so go have a darn happy day.